My name is Andrew, and for most of my life, I've worked night shifts. There's something calming about the silence, the absence of people, the stillness of dark hours. I always thought it gave me time to think, time to be alone, until I realized I wasn't alone at all. It all started when I took a new job as a night security guard at an old government building in a small, half-dead town. You know the kind. Paint peeling off the walls, fluorescent lights that flicker when you walk under them, and the unmistakable smell of mildew, like the building itself is slowly rotting from the inside out. They said it used to be a municipal archive, but it's mostly empty now. Only the first and second floors are still in use, mostly for storage and some low-level clerical offices. Floors 3 through 5 have been abandoned for years, or so they said. My job was simple. Monitor the security camera feed, do a walkthrough of the building every 2 hours, and report anything suspicious. That's it. Easy money, I thought. The security room was tucked away in the back of the first floor. Tiny, windowless, and barely large enough for the desk, monitors, and my thermos of cheap instant coffee. The cameras covered each hallway, every stairwell, and a few key rooms. Most of them were grainy as hell, but they worked. Well, most of the time. That first night, nothing seemed off. The building was quiet the way I expected it to be. Around 11:30 p.m., I did my first round, everything in order. No signs of break-ins, just dust and silence. Still, there was something odd about the place. The way the halls seemed to stretch longer than they should. The hum of the overhead lights that didn't match their flicker. And the way the stairwell door to the 5th floor was always cold to the touch. Like something on the other side was sucking the warmth out of the air. But I ignored it. Told myself it was just an old building, nothing more. By 1 a.m., I was back in the security room, sipping coffee that tasted like burnt rubber and scrolling through the camera feeds. That's when I first noticed something strange. Camera 12, positioned at the far end of the 5th floor hallway, flickered for a split second. Just a glitch. I leaned closer. The feed steadied again. Empty hallway, dim emergency lights casting long shadows. I chuckled. Creepy as hell up there, I muttered to myself. The rest of the night passed quietly. I finished my rounds, logged the reports, and packed up just as the sun was beginning to rise. I didn't think much of that flicker, but I should have. Night 2 was similar. I was already falling into the rhythm. Rounds, cameras, more coffee. But just before 2 a.m., camera 12 glitched again. This time for longer. I froze watching the feed stutter, black static, then image again. And something off in the frame. It looked like a shape, far down the hallway. Small, humanoid. Still, I leaned forward. The figure wasn't moving. It stood with its back to the camera, facing a door at the far end of the hallway, the one that led to the records room. The lights above it flickered, casting shadows that seemed to bend around it. I blinked. The screen glitched again, and when the feed returned, the hallway was empty. Gone. I waited, staring at the screen for what felt like forever. I even rewound the footage, but the figure never showed up. Like it had never been there to begin with. That was the first time I felt it. The sensation that someone or something was watching me. I turned slowly in my chair and looked at the small security office around me. Nothing. But the room felt colder than before. Like a draft was coming from somewhere that shouldn't exist. I told myself again it was just my mind playing tricks. Old buildings do that. Static messes with your head. But when I went upstairs later that night for my final round, something changed. The stairwell to the 5th floor had always been locked. My supervisor told me no one used it anymore. Don't worry about it, he said during training. We just monitor it for safety reasons. But this time the lock was unlatched. Hanging loose, the heavy metal door stood slightly ajar, a gap barely wide enough to see the staircase beyond. And I swear, I could feel a presence behind it, like someone standing just on the other side, breathing through the crack in the door. I didn't open it. Not then. I turned and walked away, forcing myself not to run. Back at the desk, I watched camera 12 again. The hallway was empty, but the lights overhead, they were flickering now. Rhythmically, almost like breathing, and in the middle of that hallway something moved. Very slightly. I leaned forward, a shadow stretching longer than it should, sliding out from an invisible shape. It inched across the floor right toward the camera before the feed cut to black. I stared at the dark screen. Then, slowly, a single white frame blinked to life. It showed the hallway, and me, standing at the far end, staring directly into the lens. But I wasn't there. I was in the security room, wasn't I? That's when the clicking started. Somewhere in the hallway outside the office, slow, deliberate steps, but too light to be human, like fingernails on tile. Then silence. I stood. Every muscle in my body screamed to sit back down. Pretend I hadn't heard anything. But I had to know. I opened the door. The hallway was empty. No movement. No footsteps. Just that buzzing fluorescent light and the sound of my own breath. I stood there for almost a full minute. Then I heard it again. Click, click, click. But this time it came from the stairwell. From the 5th floor. I shut the door and locked it. Sat down at the monitors again. Watched as camera 12 sparked back to life. The hallway was empty. Still. But just before the feed went dark again, I saw it. A single handprint. Pressed against the lens from the inside. Smearing down. The next night I showed up early. I told myself it was because I wanted to get ahead on rounds. But the truth was, I couldn't stop thinking about that handprint. The image of it smeared down the inside of the camera lens wouldn't leave my head. I even took screenshots and showed them to a friend, told him it was from some horror movie. He laughed, said it looked fake. But I knew what I saw. When I arrived, the building felt colder. The kind of cold that sinks into your bones, not from temperature, but from something deeper. Something that warns your body before your brain catches up. I went straight to the monitors. Camera 12 was offline. The little red light in the corner blinked erratically. I tapped the monitor. Nothing. The system flagged it as signal lost, like the cable had been cut. But who the hell would go to the 5th floor to do that? No one even had keys. At least, that's what I thought. Around midnight, I decided to check the stairwell. The door to the 5th floor was still ajar, more than before. And this time, it wasn't just the chill that leaked from the opening. It was a sound. Faint. Repeating. I held my breath and listened. It was whispering. Not words. Just the rhythm of a whisper. Like air being dragged between teeth. Like someone trying to speak, but forgetting how. I slammed the door shut and jammed a chair under the handle. That was enough for one night. But something was changing in the building. Other cameras started acting up too. On the 3rd floor, camera 7 flickered for a full minute before showing static shapes. Too distorted to make out, but they moved like people. And then something worse. At 2:43 a.m., I got up to stretch. Walked away from the desk for maybe 30 seconds. When I came back, camera 1, which showed the entrance hallway, had footage of me, sitting at the desk. Except, I wasn't moving. I was frozen, mouth open, eyes locked on the screen. I stared at that version of myself for a long time, trying to convince myself it was a delay, a loop, a glitch. Then that version of me turned slowly to the camera and smiled. Not a normal smile, a wide, broken thing, like it wasn't made for my face. The screen went black. I didn't sleep the next day, just lay in bed with my eyes open, staring at the ceiling, trying to make sense of it all. By night 4, I was paranoid. I brought a small mirror with me and taped it above the monitors. I wanted to see behind me, just in case. I also started recording everything on my phone. Audio, video, anything. If something happened again, I wanted proof. 1:10 a.m. Footsteps in the hallway. I checked the hallway cam. No one. But I could hear them. Click, 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 like before. Right outside the office. Then a new sound. Soft tapping. Not on the floor. On the door. 1, 2, 3 times. Then a whisper. Just loud enough to hear. I see you. I didn't open the door. I couldn't move. The cameras showed nothing. But the mirror above the monitors? It showed a shadow. Just behind me. I turned around violently. Empty. But the mirror stayed dark. like whatever had been there had stained it. Later, I checked the camera feed recordings. I went back to the moment I heard the whisper. Camera 4, which looks into the hallway right outside my office, showed something I'll never forget. A figure. Small. Thin. No eyes. Just darkness where the face should be. It stood at the door. Then it turned to the camera and tilted its head, like it knew I was watching. Then it raised its hand slowly and placed it on the camera lens, just like camera 12. By the time the sun rose, I felt like I was losing my mind. But then something strange happened. As I was packing up, I noticed a piece of paper under the door, folded once. No one could have slipped it there. The hallway was empty all night. I picked it up, unfolded it. One sentence, scrawled in ink that looked old. Don't look too long. It sees through you. I dropped the note and backed away. My hands were shaking. The note was gone. I never saw it again. But the cameras didn't stop. And on night 5, one of them captured something that changed everything. I came in ready. Mirror? Check. Phone? Recording. Pepper spray? Just in case, though deep down I knew. 1:27 a.m. Camera 6, stairwell to the 5th floor, flickered. For a second I saw something. Person. Standing still. But the next frame? Gone. I rewound the footage. Paused. It wasn't a full body. It was just a face, pressed right up against the lens. No eyes, just darkness. I jumped from my chair when I heard the click. The door to the 5th floor opened again, on its own. And this time, the chair I wedged under the handle split clean in half like it was cut. I didn't go up, but I watched the hallway cam, and something walked past. Slow, thin, dragging what looked like a leg, turned its head toward the camera, and smiled. Same twisted grin I saw on the footage of me. Later, I saw movement in camera 1 again. The lobby was empty, but in the reflection of the glass entrance, a man stood behind me. I turned. No one. I checked my phone. The recording stopped. Again. I never touched it. Instead, in my photo gallery, was a new image. It was me, asleep, in my bed, but I was wearing my security uniform. And behind me, in the corner of the room, that same eyeless face, staring. This wasn't just the building anymore. Followed me. When my shift ended, I tried to leave. But the exit door wouldn't open, like it was sealed shut. Then all the cameras turned on at once. Every screen showed the same image, a live view of my office. Except this time I wasn't in it. But he was, the man, standing behind the chair, watching the screen. And slowly, he turned to face me. I had one goal now: get out. Forget the job. Forget the cameras. I just wanted to survive. But when I reached the exit, access denied. Like I never worked here. I called the police. The dispatcher calmly said, "We already sent someone last night." He never came back. What? Then all the monitors turned on again. But this time, it wasn't live. It was a recording. From the future. I saw myself, hours from now, sitting in the office corner, head in my hands, red lights flashing through the windows, smoke, sirens, and in the back, him, the faceless man, touching my shoulder. The footage played with a message at the bottom. You can't leave, but you can choose who you become. I ran to the basement. No cameras, I thought, but one screen was still working. It showed me standing right there, and behind me the door opening. I turned. No one. But on the screen, he stepped closer. I snapped, smashed the monitors, poured water over the server, killed the power. Darkness. Real, heavy, choking darkness. And then a whisper, right behind my ear. Now it's your turn to watch. I don't remember blacking out. But when I opened my eyes, I was back in the office. Everything looked normal. Monitors dead. No signs of him. I walked out. This time, the exit opened like nothing had happened. No one questioned where I'd been. No police. No missing reports. Nothing. Like it never happened. But I knew the truth. He let me go. Not because I won, but because I served my purpose. Because now, let me explain. After that night, I started seeing things. People with no reflections. Doors that open into black space. Voices in recordings that weren't mine. And the worst part? I started showing up on security footage, in buildings I've never entered, watching people like he did. I tried warning others. No one listened. So I recorded the story. Because maybe, just maybe, someone watching will see him too. And if you did, even for a second, if something felt off during this story, then congratulations. You freed me. But now he's watching you. So here's my advice. Don't go back. Don't check the footage. And never, ever turn around when you feel like someone's behind you. Because once you see him, you belong to him. Thanks for watching. If you felt something strange while listening, even just a chill, hit like, subscribe. Someone else needs to see this. So I can stay free just a little longer.